I want to start off, though, Bill, with just asking about how we change mindsets. So I always love the phrase of the Buddha, which is, with our thoughts we create the world. And we've created the world as it is with certain thoughts, and you're showing us a way to rethink. And yet you're still in this sort of small minority where you've got this extraordinary superstructure of the world sort of pushing us in an opposite direction. So I think my first question to you is, how do we turn, because we all talk about scaling up, scaling up, scaling up. It's great to have an idea, but how do you make this the norm? And I suppose that's my question for you. This thinking is so wonderful because it upends all of our thinking. But how do we make that the norm?
I think people typically make decisions based on cost, performance, and aesthetics. Can I afford it? Does it work? And do I like it? And I think there's a moment now where we can ask ourselves, is it ecologically intelligent? And I think that it will come back to cost, that the changes we see that are happening are actually driven economically to the maximum extent, really. These are economic things, and that's why we make sure that everything we do is economic. So the products I showed you are 20% cheaper than their competitors because there's nothing regulated. A regulation is not just a signal of design failure, it's a cost. And you can remove the cost of a regulation by removing the need for a regulation. So I find that very compelling to people. And so the companies will understand that when we tell it to them, because they don't like regulations either. So it's kind of a strange marriage, but it works.
And I'd like to ask you, and Etosha as well, you started off talking about beauty. And Bill, you talk a lot about beauty, and I was at a session of indigenous storytelling, which was around beauty and our sense of the sacred. How do we bring that sense in? Because while you need the economics, as you say, it's also this sort of turnaround in our thinking to actually, how do we create something that's beautiful? Can you just talk about how you got to the stage of thinking about beauty and how you bring it into the conversation?
How could something be beautiful if it destroys children's health or the environment?
Etosha, talk to me, because you raised that thing of beauty. What does it mean for you? And again, you're in something that is sort of very technological. It's all around science and everything, and yet you're talking about beauty. How do you bring those two together?
Yeah, well, I think initially what we're doing on a high level is creating sort of beauty in the process. I mean, inherent in our technology is this waste to a higher value product, and that to me is like a very beautiful thing in and of itself. We also think about beauty a lot too. So the image I showed of our product rendering, that was done by Annie, who's one of our engineers, and she did a fantastic job. And we, used the design thinking methodology had different concepts and kind of whittled it down to the one that we have now. And it's almost a really nice aspect of my job and us as a company that we can, one day we may be talking something very technical about optimizing the energy efficiency, and the next day we can think about beauty in an aesthetic sense and have this kind of design workshop where we're figuring out how our product's going to look. So I guess just having many people at the table who can remind you that, hey, okay, we need to actually design how our product's going to look. Why don't we sit down and do that, and reminding us and everyone being on the same page about beauty being a part of who we are as a company. And I think other companies have shown too that beauty really helps get the message out. I mean, people like to look at beautiful things, and so if our product looks beautiful, then hopefully that'll help it sell when we actually make it. And so there's just some ways we integrate beauty in.
Bill.
I did a collection of carpet called the Butterfly Effect, and it's a pixelated tile, and you put your native butterfly that's going extinct, and you look at its wing, and you pick your carpet by panning around looking for the pattern you like on your floor plan. And what I discovered in that process is when you look at a butterfly wing at any scale, you can't find ugly. You can't find ugly. And like you're going, wow, that's the most amazing looking pattern. And then you go, well, maybe I put a dark one here by the elevator because it might get dirty. And you go, it's ugly. Just like that. As soon as you mess with it, it's not pretty. And then I thought about a beach full of pebbles. And I was watching children playing. And you can't find an ugly pebble on the beach. You put a kid on a beach, they start playing immediately. They start grabbing things and pick their favorite rocks and everything. And they're beautiful. But if you go into a gravel quarry full of sharp crushed stone, it's not beautiful when we crush it. You know? And so I think that's the amazing thing about nature, is that it's inherently beautiful. It's really hard to find ugly in nature. And that's why I think one of the reasons we love nature so much. But I also found in the world of physics and math, Murray Gell-Mann, who conceived the butterfly effect and chaos theory and complexity theory, won the Nobel Prize for discovering the quark. And I got his speech at Stanford afterwards from the archive, 16 millimeter, black and white. And this is what he said. Can you imagine this? He gets up on stage and he goes, "We have made this discovery in theoretical physics that the more and more beautiful a mathematical formula begins to appear, the more and more likely it is true."